Okay, folks, good evening. Let's see if we can get something productive done. It's early enough, but I am already yawning. So, hopefully, you guys can step it up and keep me company while we knock some of this stuff out. Do a short recap here. Actually, I'm going to have to eliminate some of this clutter on my table here, because I can't freaking think. Alright, so we've used all these brushes recently. So let's just take them all, every one of them, just drop them in here. And make a little bit of room here where we can operate. I really wish I could just work on one thing and not have to work on anything else until that one thing is done, but it doesn't quite work that way. Some things take some time to dry, and I find myself hopping all over the place just to make sure that we don't have to wait around waiting for the next stage in something. All right, we're going to need field drab here shortly. We're going to need Iraqi sand here shortly. Based on what we're doing next, everybody else can get put away for the time being. Doesn't take putting many things away. We just kind of make some room here. Okay. Australian Greg. Taking a break for lunch after being in the garden this morning. Oh man, I'd rather go to work than garden. At least there's a chance of some air conditioning at work. Maybe, just maybe. Okay, so where are we at? So we got these opal blitzes are sprayed. They're flat coated. Yes, we're gonna put the tarps now. 2 of these are mine that I bought them who knows how long ago. Oh, now this thing's too big. Jeez. Trying to control the crazy hair. I'm not going to put anything in my hair. I'm going to go to bed, so maybe that's about right. Okay, 2 of these are mine that I got, I don't know, late 90s, probably. These 2. And then this one is my rescue from an estate sale. And these are not very user-friendly for kids. They've got a lot of delicate parts, and one of these has the tire that just flat died. So we're going to epoxy that in place at a later point, and that way hopefully we don't have to worry about it. But we've got 3 of them, but we only have 2 tarps because the rescue didn't come with one. So we are going to paint these tarps at some point, but that's not going to keep us from basing these. So we want to base these 3. And we already have the base things on there. And I started thinking, I didn't have the foresight to run these like it's on tracks, but my tanks don't have tank tracks either. So I'm fine with them just being sitting on here and not having ruts behind them. We're going to do that. And the next stuff that we're going to do, the next one we're going to work on is a pair of Panzer IIIs. We're not going to work on both. We're not going to work on both of them at the same time. We're going to do them one at a time. And one of them is the Eschi kit from, which is a Flammpanzer, which you could have done many different versions of it, but this is the Flammpanzer Eschi kit. And this is what I'm talking about when you use spray paint, how many things you miss. Look at how much I missed on the spray. But you have to do that, or the next thing you know is you cover up all the details. So I think this weekend I may decide to try to prime with my airbrush that's basically a POS, but just black, just to see if I can stand doing that, because this didn't work really well. I'm gonna have to go over a lot more than normal. And this is the die cast. It's mostly die cast, although it's got some other stuff on there, some plastic parts from Altaia. And this is a 3L. But I went ahead and sprayed it before I even did any trimming. So like, for instance, there's there's a mold line here that can be fixed. So, I was just running out of daylight, and I wanted to get this done so we could keep the ball moving. So this is what we're going to do next. These are both going to be in Dunkelgelb, or as I used to call it, Armor Dark Yellow, because that's what the polyester thing was called that I used back in the 90s. The yellow I used was Armor Dark. They called it Armor Dark Yellow. But we're going to use the AK paints set that came specifically for this, and they'll probably both be camouflaged. Definitely this one. The Flampanzer may not be camouflaged. I don't know yet, but this one's definitely going to be camouflaged, probably with all three colors. So, I've got like 4 or 5 more of these to do. So, if you look at Kursk Panzer IIIs, they always throw the M out there, okay? Hey, here's another model of the M. Here's another one of the M. Here's another one of the M. And the reality is, only made 250 M's. The M's, the distinctive thing about them is they have the muffler back here, which allowed them to have them some kind of snorkel ability. They were able to They were able to go across water obstacles a little bit better. And that's the distinctive thing, which is really kind of strange, just kind of hanging out there, But they only made 250 of them. They were planning on making more, but, they got sidetracked. Some of them were converted into Flampanzers. 100 of them were converted into Flampanzers or so. I found out recently, like 12 were sent to Turkey. I think 12 or 12, I don't know, a handful were sent to Turkey to try to get them to come over to the war, and of course that didn't help. They didn't do that. Wisely, probably. So it's not they only made 250 M's, and you see all these pictures of the Panzer IIIs at Kursk that were M's, and they certainly had more than 250 of them. So the rest of them got to be J's and L's, right? Well, they made quite a few L's. They made like over in the thousands. So I'm going to represent some of these of the Kursk Panzer IIIs as L's. And if I want to get some N's, then get them in a different way. Get the Plastic Soldier Company ones or whatever. But they're going to have those huge freaking turrets, which Comfort Plus turrets is what I've started calling them. But anyways, this is going to be a Kursk Panzer 3L, Kursk period, and without Schertzen. I'm actually not a fan of Schertzen. I'll put them on there if they have to have them, but I think the tanks look a lot better without them on there. But that's just my personal preference. And then the Flampanzer. So, anyhow, we'll get to that in a second. We need to, because we're going to go ahead and paint these all the way up. Then we will cut out where the wheels go and epoxy them. While that's drying, then we can come in and give the black coat and the spots that we missed. Barnes White, welcome. Okay, well, here we go. So the first thing we're going to do is let's get our dry brush station going here. And let me give myself a little bit of a height. And all those brushes I just put away, let's pull them back out. No, just one at a time. Where's the, here she is. This is the one. I built a Tamiya Panzer III M back in the day. It was Dunkelgelb, and of course back in that time we just used the Tamiya colors, which I am not a fan of anymore. But just before that period, we were just basically painting the enamels, so they were revolutionary for their time. But I don't think they're very good compared to what's available now. Certainly not for my painting style. They tend to clump up when you hand brush them. They worked okay on the airbrush, because at the time I had an airbrush I had access to working at the hobby store, but that was a long time. I had a 3M that had that was just a green, was just yellow and green, and I don't know what the hell happened to it. But I'm reading this book on Kursk. I've got a couple of books. I got a couple of scenario books on Kursk also. And what did I find out really interesting? What did I find out really interesting about Kursk today that I didn't know? Oh, I wasn't aware there were some Tiger Ones in the north section. The north section is kind of the forgotten one. All the elephants were up there. I knew that. I'm sorry, Ferdinand's. And the Tigers that were up there were the 505th 505 Tank Battalion. So I'll have to look and see. I'll hear stuff while I'm driving and be like, okay, that's interesting. I'll look into that a little later. But I actually found a copy of a book that they shouldn't have put online. But in that book, it was talking about the Flammpanzer IIIs. And the 11th Panzer Division, which was in the south, had a unit of them. See, they had I want to say a company's worth of them or something like that. And those were 800 series ones. So there's a good chance I'm probably going to put numerals for 800 and paint them like if they were from that division. I want to say the 11th. It might have been the 6th. I'll have to look at the reference again, but I know that after Kursk they weren't used a whole lot in Russia because of they worked a lot better in Italy because Italy had not as long line of sights. Because you got a flame-throwing tank. Of the flame-throwing tanks, I think the German one's the shittiest one. Because the German one actually replaces the main armament with a flamethrower. You take a T-34. The T-34, the whole machine gun is the flamethrower. It still has a 76 millimeter gun. In a Zippo Sherman still has a 75 millimeter gun. I'm sure with less rounds and stuff like that, but it's still capable of defending itself at something farther away than 100 meters or something, even less than 100 meters, 60 meters or something like that. But there was one unit that left them in Russia. I want to say the 4th Panzer, something like that, and the rest of them basically went over to Italy, where they seem to have more broken fields of fire and easier for them to get over to where the need to operate is, so they didn't get taken out at long range. Or so I read. So. Okay, so that part's done. That matches one of the tones there on the dry brushing on the vehicle. It's the same on the vehicle as it is on the ground. That helps tie them together. And then we'll use Mr. Iraqi Sand now. There's that one. There's that one. One more. What's that movie you were saying, Greg, that I need to watch? Or you're saying you're going to watch the Narvik movie or something like that. What's that thing called? I don't know if you're still on, but what's that Narvik movie called? What platform is it on? And have you seen it? Is it worth watching? U.S. field drab for the first one. Yep. Yep. No change. No point in changing. This is the standard fare for temperate stuff. It's served me well doing all the 15 millimeter armies. I figure it can serve well in this. Okay, so those guys are done. Now my epoxy should still be upside down. Of course, it's on its side, which that's not the same thing. We want it upside down, so it's time to squeeze it out. I don't spend a month trying to get it out of there. There we go. All right, let's rinse this up. All right, you want to fight me? Let's fight me. I'll be right back. Okay, we definitely need to keep these upside down. And you guys need to fit in here. There we go. This literally was a pain in the ass the other day when I was trying to squeeze it out. And it was cool in here. It was not flowing well at all. All right, let's take this dry brush colors and hide them so I don't put my hand on them and carry them away somewhere. What am I using for bases? I'm using shims from work. And they come in a strip, and I'm going to run out soon, and then I don't know what I'm going to do. But they're like a 1/16 of an inch thick, and they're just black plastic. And this is actually a leftover from one of the other size tanks, so it was nice enough that these fit on there appropriately, and we're just cutting the corners off. They're magnetized. They got sheet magnets on them, so we can stick them to the refrigerator and play on a vertical surface if I needed to. Let's do this a little different. Let's take this. Let's take something I can pick up a little bit of it of. Now, looking at the footprint, this has a tiny footprint, so we're just going to take a little bit of it up there, and we're going to take a little bit, and we're doing it this way because I don't want to glue this and then have to goop around it. I would spend a month trying to do it that way. And then this is considerably wider. Let's see if this works. Not quite. Need to enlarge this a little bit from the back, and then we should be golden. Perfect. We'll leave that one there. Do the same thing here. So yeah, I need to start looking for what my replacement is going to be for this stuff. This is a kind of a product that you can only buy in bulk, and they don't sell to consumers. They don't sell to the public. And I don't have any more. I got like 50 bases, which sounds like a lot, but I'm running out fast. All right, let's see if this is even moderately close. That's good there. Well, that's spot on there. All right, we need to move this one towards the inside a little bit. And likewise here. Good. We'll fix that with elmers and grass and stuff that we're going to have on there. Okay, this one. Of course, keep in mind we're missing a tire. Okay. I like the idea of this being a plastic base because it can't warp if I use stuff that's a little too wet. Stuff's basically untouchable. Okay, this should be the last one. Let's see how we did. Okay, perfect. Perfect. It's just a matter where that tire is going to be here. So we're going to just go ahead and roll with that. Okay, now let's see if this epoxy trick I did made a difference. Let's grab another one of these. Find out where that needle is. Right here. Okay. And let's do a mix up. go back to the first one I did. All right. And then do the same thing here. I know epoxy when I was growing up wasn't worth a damn. Just didn't seem to work worth a damn. Now it does. Now it's a lot of confidence in it. Okay, and then you go over here, and then this is going to be a two-parter here. These old model kits are definitely not as good as the new ones. They have some parts that aren't suitable for children, break real easy. Yeah, we're just going to go ahead and we're going to go ahead and put this down. And then we're going to find a way to put this where it belongs. I don't want that one. I don't need it to grip itself that much. There we go. That should do it. Whoops. All right. That's how you're going to be. Then we will oh, this one's beat up too. These axles are so weak. I didn't think I need to put a metal pin through them, but all right, we're going to leave this as is, like that. Let that dry, and in the morning probably glue that other one on there. All right, let's take a look at the black now for the Panzer Gray. Not the Panzer Gray, the Panzer IIIs. All right, we've got a lot of this that we need to add to it because this is missed a lot of spots on here. So let's get a kind of a big brush. But I'm going to have to get some more of that, those a material like the shims or something like that, because all the large vehicles meaning something like a Panther JS2, they don't fit. They don't fit on this width, which is I think 3 inches or something like that. They need a bigger length than that. It's just flat not going to fit on there. All right, let's see if we can find a spot. Maybe over here. Stuff is really expensive, but it goes a long way. The Vallejo Surface Primer. I don't know that it's that durable, to be honest with you, but I like that it's black. It saves a step. All right, let's just cover the front of this. With that. You found another 3D vehicle supplier in the UK, another really large range. Other than Battlefield 3D, man, the Battlefield 3D stuff, God, they're expensive. And even more than they're expensive, the shipping is just like, oh man, just, and there's no pictures of them. It's like somebody painted them, you know, because, I don't know, 3D printed stuff's all over the place. Some looks like ass. There's a company like the one guy that I know recommended it, said, oh, I used Mini General. I'm not painting Mini General stuff. It's terrible. I'm sure it's, you know, it's rendered okay. And just when it comes down to the printer that they're using, it's just poor. So I want resin, definitely. And the Battlefield 3D stuff looks really, really nice. And, you know, I don't need anything. But, man, the shipping is just out of this world expensive. And again, just like 15 millimeter miniatures were, all the ones I want come from the UK. Glue and Paint Miniatures. Is that the name of them? Glue and Paint, do them in plastic. Cheaper option. Are they in the UK? I mean, just like Etsy, okay? The Etsy stuff, there's some stuff that's okay, that's priced all right, and the other one is like the shipping is just like, just ridiculous. You know, at least an expensive miniature, you're getting something for it. The shipping, you're just, you know, nobody wants to pay for shipping. So I was excited that S&S made an A13, but they make an A13 with a turret that never made it to North Africa. All the turrets in North Africa had the improved turret. It was I guess it'd be the second version of the A13. And the S model one, I would have to buy a conversion kit, which is an extra $12. Well, that doesn't make any sense. Oh, the other thing I found out is the counter paint scheme was used through the end of 1941. But the red and white stripes on the identification on the, the markings on the British vehicles, they were only used in North Africa during Operation Crusader. So if you're doing something earlier than Operation Crusader, you don't have to use those red and white stripes. I mean, obviously you can do whatever the hell you want. I don't like the red and white stripes. I think they look out of place. Especially when you're trying to camouflage a vehicle with, like, you know, a camouflage pattern like Counter or something, and then you've got these glaring red and white stripes on them. But I just read that today. I don't know if it's accurate, but I read it. So Nordic's back. The Northman. Oh, I just assumed your gender. I figured you were a dude. All right, that's the bottom of the Altaia kit. And here's the top. And this will be a Panzer III-L from some Panzer division around the time period of Kursk. Yeah, this thing fires like 50 centimeters away. I mean, but it takes the place of its main armament. So you better not be engaging any tanks. You better not have any tanks hit you at long range before you get in there, or it's a problem. Although I would imagine a flame tank would be pretty nasty against a regular tank. You guess you're supposed to be offended, but you're not. No. I don't know that I have any female subscribers. Like I said, I don't have a problem with women doing this hobby, but it's just a hobby that women don't do. You know? Time to go. Okay, your parole officer's here. Enjoy your Friday. You're every day of the week's Friday for you. You're retired. Rick, every day is a weekend for you. You don't have to go to work. You work from home. I wish. But then I'm never on call. So I know some of you people that work from home are on call. I'm never on call. I don't have to think about the salt mines when I'm not there. So that's worth something, I guess. Okay. The paint that we're going to use for this is the AK set for their the Dunkelgelb set, which I'm not 100% sold on yet. We'll see if this makes me change my mind, but every one of these hatches, none of them can be made open, and they cast them wrong. They put like the little padded things on the outside, so you've got these hatches to the turret on the Panzer III that are padded on the outside. Bid on Edge. PayPal is laying off 2,000 of us over the next 2 weeks. Oh, man. Well, you just got to be better than everybody else. Sometimes that's not hard to do. There's a lot of sorry people out there that don't do a good job at their work. If they're going to lay out 2,000 of you guys, why'd they bother having a big Halloween party? Or was it a Christmas party? Dealing with an ear infection, man, it's one thing after the other for you. Well, I'm not calling the doctor and making an appointment just so they can go over my blood test results. That's stupid. I can check them myself. You know, do all prime doctors suck? I hate going to the regular MD, the general practitioner. I absolutely hate going to them. They're never timely, and the list goes on. You know, that's where it starts, and where it ends, nobody knows. You know, if I tried to hand paint this, the paint wouldn't stick. But once it kind of has some spray on it, it actually works pretty well. So, yeah, the ear infection I was last on. I believe they call it a severance package. The party, that is. Yeah. No, hopefully you don't get axed. If not, you'll just have to sit at home and do shows full time or something. You got to have a lot more viewers than any of us have for that. You got to be like, who's that guy that lives off of it? The car dude. Oh man, what's that guy's name? Smitty? No. I can't remember what his name is. I used to watch him all the time, and then he'd come out with these videos that were like, that's it. Toyota's going out of business. I'm like, all right, cool. This is important. Let me watch this video. And it wasn't even part of the video. It's like, all right, you don't pull that shit on me. Scotty, that's what his name is. Scotty. Yeah, he's got millions of viewers. He could just, I think he probably does that for a living. I can't stand listening to people with, with fake, hey, this video is going to be about this, and it ends up being nothing like that. I'm like, no, I got better things to do. These things were all the rage when I was growing up, these Eschi kits, and man, they are extremely pain in the ass sometimes to put together. They're sloppy pieces. Need you to finance my lifestyle. You could just sell some games. The rest of us can't do that. I know, but then nobody would want to give you good money for it. It's like gold. They say, oh, buy gold, buy gold. There's money in gold. Yeah, they want you to buy gold. You know why? Because they sell it. When it's time for you, hey, when you want to buy it back, yeah, I don't want to give you anything for it. Just like if you coin collect, it's like, I got this one penny is worth $50 if you have it. Okay, I have it. Will you give me $50 for it? No. What will you give me for it? $7.50. Like, screw you. That's how you want it. That's how you want to be. You're not a female, you're not blonde, nor are you Asian. How about an Asian blonde? Nordic would have been a good wingman for me because I'm not into Asians. So perfect. No, we have no competition. No compete agreement. Jesus, I can't talk today. Yeah, these things are sloppy. Really, really sloppy kits. And these hulls, when we used to do these on 1/35th scale models, you would have the bottom of the hull, like this piece. It's made up of three main pieces. The bottom, right? And then the two sides. And sometimes the sides are warped. So you have to somehow like get them to, it just like, why don't you just make them one piece, you know? Your preferred wingman, I've got charm and am funny. Oh, I'm not a good one. I don't have a filter sometimes. It's better than being a liar, though. Blurt things out when you shouldn't, but at least you're honest. Oh, that's kind of tight. We'll have to fix that. Yeah. These guys even have separate hatches here, which they're just hatches to the transmission. They're not hatches to like you can crawl out of them. Does this have a side escape hatch? There aren't any on here. I don't know if this model Panzer III had them or not. I bet they did, and they just didn't mold them on there. Well, I won't be adding them. I won't be adding any. It's not my responsibility to fix that. After we're done with this, we'll go rinse this thing off and wash off. Because this stuff tends to get everywhere. But the nice thing is it's self-leavening. No, it's not self-leavening. It's self-leveling. And am I working on a speech impediment tonight, I guess? Man, I'm ready for it to be the weekend. One more day. Right? It is Thursday. It is Thursday, I hope. Shit, I don't know what day of the week it is. I'm confused. I'm always working on stuff in advance. I hope to God it's Thursday. I'm gonna be pissed. Yes. Thank you. So I said, damn, that's tight. I'll have to do something about that. It is Friday somewhere. That's right, in Australia. The land of Oz. Okay, I think that completes that. Oh, we got the turret still to do. We got this bloody turret to do. Also Europe, you're right. And did they ever whatever happened to that? They got a 35-hour work week in France or something like that, and people were complaining about it. This is several years ago. They wanted to go to a 30-hour work week. That's fine if you can afford to live on that. You know. I always say the person that created TGIF was some bastard that worked 410s. You know. They didn't even work on a Friday. That's why they're happy. It's about 2:30 a.m. in England. Do they force you to close down last call at 2:30, 2 o'clock, and or whatever in England, or are they a civilized place and there's no end to alcohol consumption? My wife said in Miami you could stay up all night, and that's in the same state we're in. So not that I want to stay up that late, but I don't like being told what to do, especially by people that don't know how to behave. Okay, we've got a couple of these to wash, so we're going to go wash these. I'll be right back. Man, it was really stuck on here this time. You know, this isn't regular. I mean, this is water cleanup, but kind of. It's got some polyurethane type stuff to it that makes it difficult to get off sometimes. And yeah, I still missed one up here. Bastards. Oh my goodness. 2:30. More rural UK. They haven't but closed down time. I'm not sure about London or larger cities. Used to be 11 p.m. here midweek. Wow. South Yorkshire. Longtime friend of mine lives in Reading. I'd love to live over there. I've joked with him that I was born on the wrong side of the Atlantic. I don't think I'd like to live there. They can't even drive on the right side of the road. I'm never getting over that. I'm never getting over that. I wouldn't mind visiting. I've never been, but. Okay. Don't need German gray for a while, that's for sure. Okay, let's see where these. Let's put these guys on here. That should be safe. Yeah, I'm just curious what the closing. I'm not a night owl. I would. It's not like I'd be, at closing time all the time. I just don't like being told what to do. You know. Well, I tried to salvage this thing the other day, and there's no hope for this little guy. I pulled the wheels off and everything. This turret is invariably just melted on, welded. So I don't know what I'm going to do with this thing. But I also found out that these guys didn't make it to the desert while the counter scheme was on. So if you want to do a counter scheme, don't use a Humber Mark II because they never had it. I just found that out today. Interesting. I want to do things realistically if I can, but okay. This guy's on pretty good. This guy's on pretty good. This guy's missing a tire and has issues. All right. In that case, let's take this. Let's get put in an angle a little bit. Yeah, a little bit. A little bit. And this tire's messed up too. Let's try to push this in a little bit. So one of the websites I like to frequent to is this website called Hank of Holland. He has a lot of like review stuff and 1/72nd scale stuff and 1/76. And it's been down for like 3 or 4 days. I hope it's not a terminal problem that, not going to be around anymore. But that's one of those that you can go and check things out and see, hey, I wonder what decals this kit comes with or whatever. It's got all kinds of really useful information that you could really spend like a lifetime surfing. And it's been down for 4 or 5 days, I think. Hopefully that's not a bad sign. Let's mix this a little bit of epoxy and wait until it gets really, 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 really hard. Let's do that. Shouldn't need very much at all. I gotta come up with something else for these things to go in. It's too tight to fit in that thing, but I need something for them to go in because storing them right side up is not really an option anymore. That's just not working at all. It just took forever to get them out last time. Freezing? Yeah, gives it too much trouble. Throw it away, buy another one. Yeah, it melted all in one piece. I may just make it a wreck. The problem with making something a wreck is it creates more. It's more work than it's actually, than making one in good shape. It's a shame. I love the Humber Mark II. It's a beautiful looking armored car. I like the British armored cars. Waiting for somebody to say it's Commonwealth, not British. Yeah, well, I call them all British. I know the difference, but sue me. Okay, perfect. This actually came undone in the. This thing is super flimsy. So you build this as a kid, this thing's not going to last long. You have it tore up in no time. Come on. Come on. And the sad thing is, this is the one that's in the best shape. Of all the Opel Blitzes, this is the one that's in the best shape. It's got all the shovels and... Oh, this thing's just going to try my patience, isn't it? Oh, well good, I'm glad it broke there. Come on, just break there too. I don't care about that axle. Alright. Now we got that out of the way. Like I said, I already had these trucks for many, many years. Otherwise, I would have just bought the plastic soldier ones and moved on. Because their stuff is definitely on the more durable end of things. Now, where's the shiny part? If there is one, there it is. You stick a metal miniature glued on a metal base in a freezer for like 10 minutes, the figures just pop off. Really? Even with epoxy? Wow. Except I don't use metal bases. Yeah, this one, the one that's what did I call it? The Rescue. It doesn't even have any of those axles and stuff on. I glued it on this one, but if it's gonna be like that, F it, then I won't bother. If I didn't have this thing already painted, I'd just run a metal pin through it and moved on. Anyhow, I hardly ever use super glue anymore. I remember when 30 years ago I was big on Zap-A-Gap Plus. But I'm not going to mail order glue. That's what it would be. There's nowhere in town that has something like that. Anyhow. So yeah, we're going to do a couple Panzer threes. That's where we're going to go next. And I got the AK paint set. I'm not sold on them because they're kind of watery, but I did a Stug 4, and it looks good in the daylight. But if you take the picture, if you look at it under these lights, you can't see all the subtle coloring to it. But it's a little bit more yellow than I would have liked, the base color. And I know the jury's kind of still out, but I prefer a sandy look to my Dunkelgelb, but I guess after I do a couple Panzer threes, I'll know for sure whether I like it or not. So I wanted to use that Altaia one. It's a pre-made die-cast model. I don't have any investment in it. It's not like I spent, a couple hours putting it together or anything. Why do I get the feeling that I'm not going to be able to solve this tonight? That we can just weld cement that. Okay, now we're getting somewhere. You know what I'm going to do? I'm not going to mess with that tonight. The wise thing is don't mess with it tonight. Let it sit, and then in the morning we can put it together. Glue that one on there. And we'll do these three in the morning as well. How are we doing with this? How are we doing with the black vehicles here? This stuff dries pretty fast. Okay, this is the bottom of it. And the turret to this is not that one. Okay, so let's start with this guy. I don't know how long I can go, but I don't want to stop now. Maybe another half hour. Maybe enough to do the base color. So let's get these colors out here. And they look a little different. There is the highlight color, and they come with a mixing ball already in there, but they are very, 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 very watery. This is the olive green. Not worried about that one right now. This is the chocolate brown. Not worried about that one right either. They separated quite a bit. That's glazed medium. We got the Dunkelgelb base, which has a lot of green in it. And like a medium green, and this must be the other one. This is the mid-tone, isn't it? Okay, this is, all right, this is the base color. And then this is the mid-tone, and then this is the highlight. So, they subscribe to the Too Thin Coats philosophy of Games Workshop, which means use more paint, buy more paint. What the hell just fell down? It shouldn't have been up there. Black? I detest when something falls down when you don't want it to. I'm an asshole, not clumsy, as I like to say. Okay. Yeah. I never understood like Vallejo Air. Oh, they're already thinned. Yeah, they give you less pigment, asshole. You know? I'd rather them be thick and I water them down my damn self. They're doing you a favor by having you spend less. Yeah, bullshit. I call bullshit. Paints are rebelling. We'll burn them all. Oh, wait. They're not flammable. Shit. So if you look at other colors that are like this, they're all this same type of tone. The Tamiya paint, the dark yellow, it's the same kind of yellow, almost like a greenish tone. And, you know, normally I'm like, this is not going to work. But it actually kind of works. I believe if you look at the Flames of War color, the one it recommends using is one called Middlestone, which the old polyester Middlestone used to be the color for the British in the desert. Used to be a color called Middlestone that was that. And that one's a lot more of a creamy color. But we're not doing an Africa color for this. This is the 1943 Russia. And there's actually a later war Dunkelgelb as well, and it's definitely more like this looking. But that's almost like a very late 1944, 1945 color. How do I feel about the paint shaker devices that are being sold now? I have no use for them because they make noise. And I kind of have to be quiet when I do this, you know? Because people are asleep and stuff like that. Okay, this is separated well enough, or mixed well enough. Let's start, as always, with the running gear. Let's get us the first one I did of these, before I did any of the gray ones, I actually used this color. I did this Stug before any of these. And I don't remember how well this stuff worked. It's just so damn watery. And using something watery when you're trying to dry brush is kind of like a bad combination. Let me get the Stug out here. I'll show you what I'm talking about. It's probably going to look like crap in here. It's going to look too washed out. But it actually looks good in the natural light. It actually looks good in the natural light. What's it look like? Looks like mustard. Yeah, actually looks pretty good when you get it out there in the natural light. Here is kind of a little too blue. But there's all kinds of shades in there, and they're not really that noticeable. But this is an old, yucky model. But it'll work. So this is what I did. I used these colors right here. And let's take a look, and I actually don't mind doing it on here because I want it to absorb some of the color. It is just an ugly, ugly yellow color. I think it's ugly. Yeah, this is... And I don't remember, I may have actually used a different color initially. I may have actually done that. I may have actually put, when I put this down, another color, and then after I had that color on it, then I worked it up. You're ordering one later today along with a new wet palette and more paints. A paint shaker, huh? I don't think I've got use for one. Now I know I'm putting this on black, so that's going to change the color a little bit, and we're going to put Agrax Earth Shade, so I'm just going to move forward with this, and I've got a little bit of faith in it. I don't think it's something that I need that I want to spend money on. I'd rather buy an airbrush. Birthday present from the wife. Are they that expensive? I figured they'd be damn near free. Yeah, let's take a look at what this does. And this is definitely the tank to try it on because I got lots of these. So if I don't like how this turns out, I just repaint it. And if something happens, it's unlikely to happen, that I have covered up so much detail on it, because I don't use a whole lot of paint. I don't put it on very thick. I've got lots of other of these models to do. $80? Holy smokes. That's expensive. 25 quid. Okay, so that's like 30 bucks for us. Yeah, see, it looks very yellow, but it's going to get Agrax Earthshade, and then we'll build upon that. And like I said, I've already done one like that, so I'm pretty comfortable with it. I don't want to prime a base color in a different color. I only prime black. Yeah, I've only needed a lot of shaking with paint that I don't use, colors that I don't use for a while. And if you're always using them, you never really need any kind of super heavy shaking on there. I don't really have much of a use for one. Now, hopefully you got that wet palette that I've been using. I've been very happy with it. I believe that one's the Everlasting Wet Palette second model. I remember when I was building models, the German unit that I always liked to paint things on was Grossdeutschland. I always liked Grossdeutschland stuff. You know, the Soviet units don't really have that much of a history. Maybe because information isn't out there, but the Germans do seem to have most of the information written about them. There's definitely units that I prefer. Of course, I'm not going to put any unit markings on any of this stuff, but I don't care about the SS units. I've never painted any SS anything. But as far as the army stuff goes, I like Grossdeutschland stuff. And you know, my only idea of liking them is they were in battles that I found interesting. You know, or maybe I like their unit symbol, but that's about it. It's not like, you know, I'm a fanboy of the Wehrmacht or something like that, you know, but when I was building models, I did like Grossdeutschland. I like Panzerlehr if you're doing Normandy. I like the 116th also, the Greyhound. That's it for late war. And I like the, you know, if I'm doing Barbarossa, I like the 11th. I like the 6th. The 6th had all those Czech 35s. And the 11th was also in the breakout to Stalingrad to try to reach Stalingrad, Wintergewitter. .15mm skeletons. Your first unit for Flames of War was Panzerlehr. Okay, the only thing I like about Panzerlehr is they don't appear until Normandy, right? So you can't use them before that. Yeah, I got my favorite ones. I like the 15th Panzer Division. If you're doing North Africa, I like the 15th better than the 21st. I don't like that D symbol for the 21st. Seems like you almost failed. You get a D. You almost failed. You get a D. You're project driven. By doing World War II later in the year for a palate cleanser. That's what I'm doing it for. Play World War II for a palate cleanser. If you look like, oh man, it's looking kind of green. Yeah, we're going to have lots of steps of this. This is not anywhere near where we're going to end up with this. I'll tell you what, though, I'm pretty comfortable painting my German crosses on the vehicles now, which that saves me a whole lot of trouble because I don't have to order them and then order them and then they're not tall enough. Because a lot of these just have a really small section where they go. They really do need to be hand painted or handmade or something. I was reading something that they had some unique uniforms. Panzer had, I like their Panzer Grenadiers that had something different about them. Their uniforms were different. I don't think they were different better. I think they were different dumber looking. I don't remember what it is. Almost like maybe they didn't have their pants tucked into their boots. It was something. It's not like major, but it's something that they had like a maybe their Panzer uniforms were like infantry. I don't remember what it is. Not going to burn out again, painting the same stuff for years on end. Yeah. Well, I haven't burned out on painting. I just got burned out on playing. Yep. Got to do whatever you need to do to keep going because getting burned out, that's pretty much the worst thing you can do. Anything that drives you to burning yourself out as a creator is bad because, who else is going to paint stuff? There's few enough of us already that paint. It's kind of it's a niche thing within a niche thing. Burned out on painting miniatures, huh? Well, maybe we'll come back to it. I'm just doing this because there's a chance I'll play this game. Yeah. It's pretty much the worst thing you could do is getting burned out. You do whatever it is that you got to do to make sure that doesn't happen. Switch to periods you're not interested in, and don't listen to those people that do nothing that want you to do more. You need to do this. Well, you need to do something. You don't do nothing. You're just sitting there. You just show up. I know this looks sloppy as shit right now, like I'm making a huge mistake, but I'm not. I'm not had I not done this already. I'd been like, man, this looks like shit. But the advantage is I'm not going to be getting any brush marks on this. The paint won't be too thick. And then we'll probably let this, we're not going to put the Agrax Earthshade tonight. We need to have this set. Because Agrax Earthshade, if this is too wet, it'll end up washing some of it off, which is normally okay, but the bottom color underneath there is just flat, just completely black, so I don't know that I want that to happen necessarily. But let's at least get all the yellow color on here. And like I said, I'd think I'd be in the wrong track if had I not done this already. And I do want some of the black showing, because that's like a free pin wash out of it. I saw an article one time. I was kind of surfing around. I think it was this morning, where this guy had painted these tanks for the desert, and they were Mark 6Bs, and he went and labeled them all with the names of them, and some of them were whimsical names, but some of them were because the British tank squadrons all were A, B, C, D, whatever, and so all the ones that were in the A had A names on the tank, you know, and this guy had taken all these Mark Sixes and hand painted. Actually, I think he used decals, but I would hand paint the nicknames for the tanks on them. And they all start with an A. I'll happily play solo if needed. Yep, I feel the same way too. I'm fully prepared to, if I play this, to nobody be interested in how detailed this is. I'm just not motivated to spend this kind of time for a game that's, doesn't cut it. A World War II game that's D6. Like, what the hell? No. I don't think I'll ever buy a hex and counter game again. I wish they made them more for the computers. I play them. It's not that I don't like those kind of games. There's so many things going against them in my department. I don't, you could be playing the rules wrong. Well, you can't in one of those games. Not a computer game, in a computer type of hex and counter. It won't let you move that far. Hey, Nordic, I know you're not on Facebook very often, but go check my page on Facebook. I posted today. I was talking about Stalingrad and these guys in Australia that had made this thing. Go check it out. It's on. I posted it today on my page. It's these guys that actually it's a video that War Games Illustrated did. These guys made like a whole like chemical plant type diorama. I mean, it looks as good as regular dioramas, but they supposedly play on it. And yeah, that's salivatingly good. They even have like the sewer system in there. So set up a hex and count. Nah, I don't want to spend the time for it. I got stuff to paint, man. This is where I'm needed. Don't get me wrong. I play those games. I just don't want to, devote that much time to freaking learn how to play the game, then teach other people. Then hopefully I taught them right, and hopefully we're playing the game right. There's just too many like what ifs for my taste. Yeah, that video is incredible. You'll like that. You like that, and that's all in this scale. Guys even made like rolling stock. It's freaking nuts, man. They made like rolling stock for that can be in the way while you're trying to shoot at each other, but I know this is gonna look super green. But this is just a base for the Agrax Earthshade to be on, and then dry brush it up from there. And it will look good, even though it doesn't look like it will. Just bookmarked. Well, the good news is my stream's about to be over, so you can go check it out. Yeah, I need to get to bed, but you can see that it's not that bad of a color, and it's going to get lightened up on these other ones. This is going to add more buff stuff to it. Like I said, it looks okay. So I'm going to go all the way to this level, and then we're going to do camouflage, and I'm looking forward to doing that so we can make it look airbrushy, even though we're not going to use airbrush. Because even with people that airbrush this, you're airbrushing it a lot smaller than it really is. You're airbrushing it a lot bigger than it actually is. So, some of it is lost in that exchange. But okay, so this is where we're at right now, and I actually want to make a Stalingrad city board. Oh yeah, I remember you mentioning that. Well, maybe that'll be inspirational. Okay, folks. Well, that's it for tonight, and we'll catch you guys. If not tomorrow, then definitely Saturday.